my fellow comic book collectors, it's Alan, the Comic Collector Geek, and this is the Friday challenge video, but it's a very special challenge. On Wednesdays, I do my Q&A video, and somebody asked me about the following, and I'm going to read the question. It's from Antonio. He wrote, knowing the Comics Code Authority ceased activity in January of 2011, which top 10 comics in your collection post 2011 would the 1954 Comic Code Authority have a heart attack if they saw it? Well, I'm going to get into those ones. These are some books that I think they would probably freak out about if they saw. The funny thing is, even before the code had kind of been finally lifted, there were a lot of comics that received the code that actually they would have freaked out about. Really, the code had been weakening year after year up until its final demise. So let's get into the ones that I picked. So these are all, so the theme of this video is comics that would have freaked out the Comics Code Authority, basically, giving them a heart attack. So the first one is just a book I picked up recently. I think this is a good example. This is Tibby. It's the foily version. And the reason I think this would totally freak out the 1954 Comic Code Authority is, well, you got a naked girl running on the cover. It's like, that's all that needs to be said. I mean, it is what it is. It's a naked girl running across the cover. Though it's not full nudity or anything like that, this would kind of freak them out. They wouldn't be too keen on women being portrayed in a sexualized manner. So this would definitely get flagged. Now, this next book I'm going to show is not really about the book itself, but it is one that it's more about the title or the company. This is Zenescope's Robin Hood and Gretel. And again, obviously, just because of the sexualized nature of the cover, got this woman, her clothes are being disintegrated. And that itself would probably get the Comic Code Authority to be upset. But also, it's the witchcraft. So the witchcraft part as well. They didn't really like witchcraft or things of the occult. And Zenescope, well, they pretty much have all sexy covers. So pretty much most of their stuff would not pass the Comic Code Authority. They wouldn't really like all these sexualized images. Their pinup style covers, not really that good for the Comic Code. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting one. And just to really hammer the point in with all the sexualized ones, well, let's have nudity all together. So Gun Honey is another good example of that. Just outright nudity on the cover. Well, that's obviously not going to pass the Comic Code Authority. So Gun Honey is a good example of that. This is Gun Honey number 4, the Collision Course. So this is from Titan Comics. And another thing that they had real issues with, and if you look at the Comic Code Authority and why it came into play, it was really to crack down on horror. And horror takes many forms. Well, this is a good example of a kid's book, especially, that has a horror element. And this is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. You have this like undead character, and that would totally freak them out. That especially because this is a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and that's really targeted to a younger audience generally with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And then to have it with this very undead or gruesome cover. I mean, this is like, you got the guy's spine right there. It's a pretty gruesome cover. So definitely one that would have freaked out the Comic Code Authority. So Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 119. Okay. Now, the weird thing about the Comic Code Authority was not just about like obvious depictions of terror or gruesomeness. Actually, the word terror itself was one that you were not allowed to use on the cover. And that's why a lot of the Comic Code Authority stuff actually hit hard against EC Comics. So this is Epitaphs from the Abyss, but you'll notice they have the kind of EC trade dress because it's a modern version of EC books. You see the terror down the side. Well, that would get them in trouble with the comic code. You couldn't use the word weird or terror, and that would definitely go against the comic code authority. So it's not about the terror. It's not about this monster or anything like that. It's about the actual terror. So I thought that would be an interesting one to show. Just kind of show where the comic code authority was kind of very strict. So next one on my list, number 5. Number 5 on my list is another word you were not allowed to say and not allowed to show. So this is doubly bad because it has werewolf. And you're probably thinking, well, Werewolf by Night, that came out in the 70s, right? Well, the original 1954 Comic Code Authority, you were not allowed to use the word werewolf. It was against their rules. And depicting a werewolf, like this one does, definitely would get you in trouble. I mean, the fact that this book says appropriate audience, and then adult, the fact that it's saying that it's an adult comic based on the fact that it has gore, this wouldn't be allowed to get the Comic Code Authority. This would be adult comic, and it would be treated as such and wouldn't be allowed to get the Comic Code Authority. So reader discretion advised and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, so it's almost self-censoring already. Even they realize that it's too much. Now this next one is interesting. It's the same kind of idea. It's got some of all these elements put together in a way, and it's Epitaph from the Abyss. Again, this is number 6. Yeah, number 6. And this is actually interesting because it's got the werewolf, it's got the terror, and it is an homage to from Tales of the Crypt, I think 41, I'm pretty sure, something like in that era, which also wouldn't have gotten approved by the Comic Code Authority. And it was one of the books that led to the Comic Code Authority. So the fact that, yeah, I think this is kind of a cute one to show because it's one that in the Golden Age got in trouble and in the modern era would be in trouble if the code still existed. So they don't like the werewolves, they don't like the word terror, and yeah, this would be another one that would get in trouble. Now, another thing that was really against code is violence. And gore. So you weren't allowed to show hyper violence on a cover based on the comic code. And here's an example of that where you literally have Wolverine slicing up Deadpool's arm. You got Deadpool stabbing through the chest of Wolverine. There's blood. This is a very gory cover, and obviously this would not pass the Comic Code Authority. So if you're looking for books to show in your comic challenge, well, pick your goriest ones and they probably would not pass the Comic Code Authority. I think they'd be shocked to see this one. This one would probably really freak them out. I mean, literally the guy's arm is getting chopped off. So definitely would be one that wouldn't pass the Comic Code Authority. That's Wolverine, Deadpool, World War III, Deadpool, World War III, Wolverine, number 1. Okay, this next one will kind of surprise you, and you'll probably try. You might have to. I want you to kind of figure it out a little bit. I'm going to show it. One sec here. I just gotta get it out of the plastic so I can show it a little bit better. But this one, you might not realize at first. Why would this one? Why would this one get banned? I'm going to show it. Okay. And it's this one. Do the poo. Okay, and it's got a image of Jay and Silent Bob. And you're probably wondering, why would this get not approved by the Comic Code Authority? And I'm going to have to zoom in so you can see why. Now, if you look at Silent Bob, he's got something in his mouth. Well, it's probably marijuana. And one of the big things that the Comic Code Authority went up against was drug use. They really didn't like anything that depicted drug use. So the fact that he's smoking a doobie, and there's even, I think, a leaf in behind him there, is going to get the Comic Code Authority really upset. So this would freak them out, especially because it's got these kind of cartoony characters, and then he's doing something very illegal and illicit. Would definitely freak them out. So yeah, so Do the Pooh, and it's just Do the Pooh from 2022. All right, the last one is another one, kind of same idea, similar idea, not quite the same, with things that the Comic Code Authority would not like. Again, this one is a little more subtle why they wouldn't like it. You got the different monsters, and they really wouldn't approve of these monsters and the horror theme to the Comic Code Authority, especially werewolves. I don't know why they had such a big thing with werewolves, that they didn't like werewolves, but yeah, they didn't. So the supernatural, they really didn't like the supernatural. So it was much later, after the code was enforced, that they started showing monsters again, like the supernatural monsters. The weird thing is, like regular monsters, they were fine with, but supernatural monsters like werewolves and vampires, not so good. So yeah, that's why this one's on there. So this is I like this cover. It's kind of cartoony as well. And that's it. That's my list. This was Sabrina Annual Spectacular #1. So those are my books that would have freaked out the Comic Code Authority from 1954. What can you come up with? All you have to do is use the hashtag Friday Comic Challenge. You can put my handle on it as well in your description. And yeah, that's it. We're not even going to have a special hashtag. It's just going to be the hashtag Friday Comic Challenge, and that's it. So pick 10 books that would freak out the Comic Code Authority, and let's see what people can come up with. I'm sure there will be a lot of material from the modern era that would freak out the Comic Code Authority. So have fun. I hope you enjoy this video. Bye for now.